Yeah, 2000, the Mumbai attack were one of the, uh, perhaps the biggest blot on the security apparatus of the country, even more so than the Parliament attack, which happened a few years earlier in 2001. Uh, for 2008, if you see, the US intelligence had warned India about such attacks, possibility of such attacks. In fact, there was very specific intelligence about the hotel itself, about the Taj Hotel itself. The security was, of course, increased for the hotel, but then there was no coordinated response from the Indian side. And even like a week before the actual attack, the Indian intelligence agencies had shared possibility of a sea-borne attack happening in Mumbai. So as such, the fact that despite that, and just 3 or 4 days later, when the terrorists left Karachi on 21st of November, we couldn't do anything about it despite having very, very specific inputs. And if you kind of see the timeline of that week, they traveled between 21st of November till 26th of November, 5 days. They were on the sea. They were actually waiting a few nautical miles away from the Mumbai coast. But and of course, the fact that they actually hijacked one of the Indian vessels, Kuber, which they used to travel to Mumbai. None of this was intercepted, right? And there were 5 days that were available, and even later, like the terrorists, when they landed in Mumbai around 8:30 p.m. that night, they still had a couple of hours before they went to all different locations. So we couldn't respond at all, and it just kind of completely exposed the lack of coordination between the agencies in India. And that is quite grisly, because if you look at that year, in 2008, we've already had a whole bunch of attacks already in that year. I mean, there was an attack in Rampur on the very first day of the year in 2008. There were bombings in Jaipur and Bangalore in the summer months. Also in Ahmedabad, soon after Bangalore. So like I think Ahmedabad and Bangalore were spaced out by like a day, I think. And then there were two incidents in Delhi in September. There was one of them was quite big, but there were 5 bombs which went off and killed more than 30 people. Then there was a planned attack in Agartala in October. So there was a whole chain of events which was already setting off that year. And despite all of those attacks, we couldn't really get our act together, which was quite shameful. But also kind of, if you really go back to the timeline, the attacks happened on 26th night, but they did not end until the morning of 29th completely. And the NSG had to be called. We all know how they traveled in best buses, etc. And the fact that 2 of the NSG officers lost their life. These are very, especially, highly trained individuals, and that day actually we lost 2 men because of these attacks was again quite shocking in that sense. Major Sandeep Krishnan, who lost his life in the Taj hotels, and the NSG Havaldar Commando Gajendra Singh Bisht, who lost his life in the Shabad House raid. So all in all, a pretty shameful day for India, and the fact that the culprits really haven't been taken to task. Of course, due to the bravery of the Assistant Sub-Inspector Tukaram Omble, we got our hands on one of the culprits, Ajmal Kasab, who's buried not very far away from my home in Pune, in the Yarwada jail. Had we not caught him alive, that would have been a very different political turn to the events for this decade. So I just hope that we learn lessons in terms of security apparatus being strengthened, intelligence being shared, and of course, like the fact that, the proof of the pudding is that these attacks don't reoccur, right? Like, as it happens in the matters of security, when something doesn't happen, that's success. So we would not really know about what the conspiracies are and what is going on currently. But let's just hope that it stays like that, and in case such situations arise in future, we respond much better.